let's start making our steps look more like steps. Before we actually get to the feet, we will make a few minor adjustments to the upper body. Let's select the center of gravity, go into our perspective and graph editor view. And what we really want to do now is fix this locking that we're getting, and also fix the translate Z so that the character is not off balance as he is right now. So we'll start with the translate Z. Let's select this key on frame 10. Okay, and we just want to bring it down some more. So we'll work on having that key come down some more. Okay, like that, and then we can adjust our tangency. Great. So that's better. And then we could go to the translate Y, and we want to bring it down so that the right leg does appear to be locked but isn't totally locked as it is right now, to avoid the IK locking. So we'll just take this key on frame 10 and let's bring it down some. Okay, at about here, let's see how this looks. And maybe even a little bit more. Great. Okay, so that's better. And now with this done, we can go ahead and start working on our steps. And we'll start with the right foot. What we want to have happen here is at about frame 1, we want to set a key of the raised ball where the foot's starting to rise up. And we also want to focus on our raised toe channel. So let's go to those channels in our graph editor outliner. There's our raised ball, there's our raised toe. We'll hit F. And on frame 1, we'll go to our raised ball and set a key. Then we want the foot to start rolling up in the raised ball at frame 3. So let's roll it up, not too much at all, because it is just a small step. Alright, so as it's coming up, the foot's going to actually lift off the floor to its height at about frame 6. So being that the case, let's we're going to actually be animating our raised toe, raising that up, and that's going to help us to get the right pose for the foot being lifted up. So we need a key for the raised toe on frame 3. Okay, so we can go to the raised toe, and we actually do have a key already there, so that's good. So this time on frame 6 now, let's go ahead and drop our raised ball, okay, because that shouldn't be up, and we'll want to put up the raised toe now, not too much at all. And just FYI, footsteps are generally small unless the character is doing something that is really exaggerating the height of the footstep. So being that the case, when it comes time to animate the translate Y of the foot, we want to keep that in mind, especially for this small footstep. Alright. So now once the foot is up, we'll have it plant on frame 8. Put the value of 0 there. Great. So here's our first footstep if we hit play. And it's coming along. If we go ahead and check that out again. But we want to make the foot appear to be pressing on the floor. And we'll do that by making a few more adjustments in our raised ball. But first, let's have it translate up in the Y. Okay. We'll go to our Y channel and make sure we have keys where we have our motion isolated in the Y, where it starts and stops from frames 3 to 10, and we sure do. So now we could add our in-between on frame 6, where we want the foot to rise. And remember, it's going to be really small, especially with this step. So we'll barely lift it off the floor. Okay, and to show weight in this step, what we can do, let's select this key on frame 6. We'll hit F, and we'll select the key on frame 8, break the tangent handle by selecting this icon here, and just bring up the left half. And with a curve like this, what we're going to be able to do is, again, create the illusion of a little bit more weight in that footstep as it's coming down. So when we hit play, boom. That's looking better. But now for the foot press, what we'll do is on frame 8, let's go to our raise ball channel. And on frame 8, we'll want the ball of the right foot to rise up. Not too much at all. Let's go ahead and check out our graph editor. Okay, so we want it to rise up there and then just plant on frame 9. So now watch what that gives us. Boom, now we're getting this nice foot press when the character plants his foot. Great. So if we hit play to check out our first footstep, here's how it looks. Awesome. Well, now we can go ahead and move on to the left foot. We'll select it. And first off, let's go to we want to focus on our raised ball, raised toe, and also our raised heel channels. As well as, we did key in our side to side, so let's go there too. And with these selected, we could just go up to the top and deselect our left foot IK, so we could just focus on these channels right now. Okay, and hit F to frame them. So first off, the ball of the foot is rising up way too quickly, meaning that it's coming up at a time when it shouldn't. Okay, and we want it to actually be delayed to about frame 8, just as the right foot is about to be planted totally. So on frame 8, what we'll do is take the keys that we have for our raised ball and our side to side and move them to frame 8 from frame 1. So let's select these keys, and we could go in here to our text field and move them to frame 8 that way. Great. So now that foot's planted until right when the right foot's about to be planted, and we're getting this nice roll. Now as that foot is coming up, it's going to come up at about frame 13 where it's at its peak in the up position. So we want to go to our raised toe. Let's go back to that channel. And we'll hit F to frame our keys. And what we want to do is on about frame 10, we'll key our raised toe. Okay, so that's set to 0 there. Then on about 13, we'll want to drop our raised ball and raise up the raised toe. Okay, remember, not too much. Should generally be a small footstep, especially for this step. So here's what we get now. Great. And then on frame 16, the foot plants. But what we're going to do here is actually create this swoop looking effect with the foot, where it's actually going to come up on its raised heel. So what we'll do is on frame 13, let's key our raised heel set to 0. And then at about frame 15, we'll want to drop our toe and bring up the raised heel. Like that. Okay, and then on about 17, we'll plant the foot. For the weight there. Great. So here's what we get from our left foot now if we hit play. Excellent. We're getting a nice footstep. Okay. And what we can do from here is actually go ahead and work on our side-to-side foot. So let's just go to the side-to-side channel. And we want it planting at about 17, where the foot actually plants. So let's take this key on 16 with the value set to 0 and just move it down 1 frame. And then on 15, we're actually going to roll the foot to the opposite direction of what we rolled it on frame 3. Okay, or excuse me, not frame 3, but frame 10. See how it's rolling off there? Well, we're going to roll it to the opposite direction now, and we're going to get this nice foot roll from doing so. So let's go slightly to the opposite direction. Here's how our key looks. Then boom, the foot plants. So here's how it looks when we scrub through. Great. That's looking nice. Excellent. So with this done, we could go ahead and move now to the translate Y and making sure that the foot is lifting off the floor. So the foot plants at 16, and we do need a key that translate Y at 16. So we'll set a key there. And we already have a key on frame 10, so that's fine. So now we can go to frame 13 and lift up the foot very slightly. Then select the key on frame 13. Select, so we could frame this region, select the key on frame 16 and bring up the left half so we could show weight in this step. Awesome. Great, so there's how our footstep's looking. Okay. And then one minor adjustment we need to do before we actually call this done, our first set of steps done, is go ahead and go to the raised ball of the foot. Notice how there's a value there where the foot should be planted. So we just want to take this key on frame 16, the raised ball and move it down to frame 17. Great, so now that foot's going to be planted. Well, with these things done, let's go ahead and check out a play blast to see our results for this lesson, to see how our feet are looking. Okay, so we can render one off from this angle here. Here it is. Great, so our first set of steps are looking really nice, and they're really showing we're really getting a nice feeling of weight. Okay, and we do need to add the shifts to the upper body, but that's going to come a little bit later on, right when we're done animating the footsteps. We will do minor modifications to the upper body here and there while we're animating the feet, but for the most part we'll bring our attention to the upper body once the feet are finished. But for right now, we're looking really good so far as our footsteps go, and that finishes this lesson. In the next lesson we will work on our next set of steps.